TNCRadio.LIVE, your commercial driver navigation station.
Good afternoon. This is TNCRadio.LIVE, and this is the Truckers Network Radio Show with your host, Shelley Johnson.
Thank you, Tom. Yes, this is the Truckers Network Radio Show on TNCRadio.LIVE. We're all about the news, talk, information, and entertainment the drivers want to hear. You know, drivers not only work really hard, but they often do heroic things like saving people's lives or helping people out in a time of need. The Transportation Carrier Association runs the Highway Angel program, and that recognizes professional drivers for the courtesy and courage they've shown others while on the road. Their good deeds range from simple acts of kindness, like fixing a flat tire, to heroic life-saving efforts like pulling someone from a burning vehicle or administering CPR. With us today is Marli Hall. She's the Senior Director of Outreach and Engagement with the TCA to talk about the Highway Angel program. Welcome, Marli. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks so much, Shelley. Glad to be here.
I was wondering if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about yourself, the TCA, as well as the Highway Angel program.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. So, yes, you're right. I'm the Senior Director of Outreach and Engagement, and you may ask, well, what does that mean? It means I wear a lot of hats. So, and I do so with a smile. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, as they say. And I oversee our marketing, strategic communications, awards and contests, our scholarship fund. But one of the things that is near and dear to my heart is this Highway Angel program. Mm-hmm. And I guess a little bit about TCA, the Truckload Carriers Association. We're the only trade association whose collective sole focus is that truckload segment of the motor carrier industry. We were founded in 1938, so we've been around for quite some time, and we represent all those, say, dry van, refrigerated, flatbed, tankers. We even have intermodal container carriers that are a part of the association. So we're just tailored to those with specific truckload carrier needs.
So you said, Shelley, gosh, that's been a long time. I bet the organization has really evolved with everything that it's dealt with all the changes in transportation.
Absolutely, yes. Let's just say that our government affairs department stays very, very busy.
I imagine it does. Now, when did the Highway Angel program come about?
Sure. So it was actually 1997. Okay. It was founded to recognize professional truck drivers, like you had mentioned, about just the great courtesy and courage that these drivers show to others while they're on the job. So on the roadways, this can be in the U.S., this could be in Canada, this could be, say, even in Mexico. So yeah, TCA and our partner at Epic View, we are really proud to recognize about our goal is 100 recipients this year. Wow. And we're well on our way. Since a microsite of ours launched last April, we're about 60 some odd recipients. So, not doing too bad.
So do people put in names? How do drivers get nominated?
Sure. So the recipients are typically nominated by their employers, also, say, fellow truck drivers. We even have motorists that have been assisted by, they've actually been pulled from wreckage. They've, had someone stop and help them, retrieve something that had fallen from their car. They definitely have seen and felt the impact of a driver's help and assistance. So they, which is, always the goal, they come to us, complete a nomination form on our microsite, and then we reach out to the driver and get their story and then award them as a recipient.
That's so awesome. How many drivers have you had as heroes, angels rather, since the beginning of the program?
I think we're around 1,300 to date.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yes.
it really, the song that Lindsay Lawler did, Highway Angel, really brings the message of, it's powerful, the whole video and the song. And I bet that really helped promote the program too, and the public awareness of what drivers really do for people.
Absolutely, yes. To have Lindsay as our spokesperson, to have her out there at industry events, like GATS and MATS and the Truckers Jamboree out at Walcott at Iowa 80, having her out there, not only, promoting the program and the song, but also just chatting and becoming friends with a lot of these drivers. So, yeah, she was really instrumental in helping launch and really get this program to where it is today.
Well, when I grew up, my dad always said, truckers know what they're doing and they can help you. I remember him saying, if it's bad driving, watch what the semis are doing. They're the professionals. And because he'd had an experience, I think that it was really bad fog or something like that, and he was following a driver, and the driver actually helped him, because he knew, that he was not able to see. It was really, really bad weather, and I don't think people realize what truckers really do. From what I understand, at one point, I think drivers were also trained in CPR. Am I correct?
That does ring a bell, yes. That's something that a lot of our recipients, they share with us that they do know CPR. They share with us that they have been firefighters in the past. They've been EMT. So a lot of these drivers, sometimes it's a second and third career for them to take life on the road and to become a long haul driver. And you're right. Just like your father had mentioned, if you're ever in need of help, just go to a truck stop or whatnot at all hours of the night. And that's why we like to deem these drivers the knights of the highway, because they truly are. In the middle of the night, in the dark, they're out there making their runs and clearly saving lives and helping individuals who are in their time of need.
Absolutely. Do you have any feedback on that, Tom? You're a professional driver, so.
To my knowledge, a lot of companies do not or no longer offer CPR training. Most of the drivers that I know who have CPR training either A, go out and get it on their own, or, like you said, Marli, from a previous career have somehow learned it, whether it is firefighter, EMT, military, whatever it may be. And I think trucking is kind of unique in that we're an industry that attracts people from very diverse backgrounds. I've stumbled across lawyers, doctors, just about everything, former military, and I think because of that diversity of backgrounds and the fact that there are a lot of drivers who have training in some of those areas, you do see drivers who are more willing to step up and take leadership roles when there's a problem or a situation. A lot of times you'll hear about there's an accident, everybody's just standing around. The one that leaps out to me was about 3-4 years ago, where a young lady was in a horrific car crash, I believe in Oklahoma. Her car hit a tree, burst into flames, and everybody was just kind of standing around watching, filming, until this gentleman and a truck driver jumped out, did his best to pull her from the wreckage, treat her to the best he can, and at a certain point, all he could do was literally start praying over her like, oh, God, she's just a baby. Why? And basically stayed with her until the EMTs and everything else come, like what's taking so long, those types of things. And regrettably, she did pass due to her injuries. But, that was a driver that I know the Highway Angel program actually spent quite a little bit of time trying to track down, because no one knew who he was at first. And I know Lindsay and the team at Highway Angel spent a lot of time tracking down, but literally there was the drivers like, no one else is responding. This is someone's baby. I have to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't think the public knows this, the incredible generosity and the big hearts that drivers have. And that, I think your program really brings this to the forefront, which is so important too.
Yep, absolutely. And kind of thinking back to the early days of this, trucking industry professional who's now retired, some folks may know of her. She was the TCA president here from 92 to about 2000, but her name is Lana Batts. She was with Driver IQ not too long ago, and she shared an op-ed with Women in Trucking some years ago. And she said in that op-ed, basically why was this program started? And she said, we decided to do something about it. We wanted to put a face behind the windshield and elevate the public's awareness and appreciation for the outstanding truck drivers. We wanted to tell them more about truck drivers than what they see on the 6 o'clock news or in badly acted action or adventure movies. And she said, obviously building on a highly successful Goodyear Highway Hero program, that's where the Highway Angel program came from. So, again, there has been, a television series which shall remain nameless, but that has stirred up quite a bit of controversy in especially the truckload, if not the trucking industry, as portraying these professional truck drivers as villains or criminals. And it's really unfortunate because Hollywood sometimes they don't hear these stories. They don't know how imperative it is to have these Knights of the Highway. They're there whenever you need them. And like Tom has said, we hear from a lot of our Highway Angel recipients that people are just standing around, taking photos, taking video, posting it to social, and they're not stepping in to help. And people will die. They will pass away.
Oh, sure.
Because they're just, people don't spring into action. But these drivers, they do, which is commendable.
Yeah, they're human. They're not into the selfie or the. I still don't understand how people grab their phone to take a picture before anything else. It really is makes me question our humanity out there, and that's why it's refreshing. Drivers are there, and they are our heroes. They really, really are. Not only angels, but heroes, and they're out there helping people. And I think your program is just awesome because it's really putting like a face to the windshield, like Lana said. Absolutely. And yes, Hollywood likes to go for sensationalism.
Sure. Yeah.
And they like to go with the heinous side of things and unrealistic side of things because it sells advertising.
Exactly. And my past was actually in news editorial journalism, and I worked at a daily newspaper in West Virginia before I came here to the Alexandria area in D.C., and we had a slogan, if it bleeds, it leads. And I think that every journalist knows that. But you're right. Unfortunately, whatever's going to captivate, it's going to get attention. It's going to sell papers or, especially the tabloids. I mean, it's unfortunately, that's the way things go, sadly.
So putting a positive spin out there and really showing the humanity, it's so needed today. And I would say even more so since the advent of all of this COVID stuff. And I think people are more aware, too, why drivers are so important. So I'm so glad your program's out there. We're talking with Marli Hall, Senior Director of Outreach and Engagement with the Transportation Carriers Association. This is TNCRadio.LIVE, and you're listening to the Truckers Network radio show with Shelley Johnson and Tom Kirk. We'll be back with more. Definitely stay tuned.
This info blog on TNCRadio.LIVE is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. Mental health resources for truck drivers. Truck drivers are the backbone of America. They're the unsung heroes. Nearly every good consumed in the United States has been transported in a truck. Because of how challenging truck driving is, truck drivers often portray the image of being tough. Mental health is not a discussion that many truckers will have among each other. The truth is, truck drivers are human. They have their emotional and mental struggles just like every other working American. The only difference is that truck drivers face unique factors that put them more at risk for depression and other serious mental health issues. According to the Transport Workers Union, 1 in 5 truck drivers has experienced mental health issues. Depression and anxiety are the top mental issues that truck drivers face. Mental health resources for truck drivers. With truck drivers spending more time on the road than at home, it can be difficult to get help for their mental health struggles. Now, thanks to modern-day technology, truck drivers can get help right from their smartphones. Esper. Esper is a national behavioral health company with a mission to help people and organizations reach their full potential. Esper offers a continuum of behavioral health care from acute to chronic health conditions to leadership development, including Fit to Pass, a coaching program to assist professional drivers in maintaining good health and pass their DOT recertification physical exams. BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the world's largest e-counseling platform. They have access to licensed, trained, experienced, and accredited psychologists, marriage and family therapists, clinical social workers, and board-licensed professional counselors. To get starters, take a quick questionnaire and BetterHelp will match you with a therapist that's right for you. Mutts for Trucks. Mutts for Trucks is an organization that helps truck drivers find the perfect four-legged friend for the road. Their mission is to bring more good to a community that brings so much good to us. It's been proven that owning a dog can drastically decrease isolation, depression, and cardiovascular disease. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is a national network of local crisis centers that provides free and confidential emotional support to people in suicidal crisis or emotional distress 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their number is 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. If you feel that you need help for your mental health struggles while on the road, we also recommend reaching out to your carrier and seeing what options they may have available for you. For more information on mental health, go to the blog section at The Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
For the latest in traffic, weather, and information, catch the Morning Grind weekdays right here on TNCRadio.LIVE. You're listening to the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.LIVE. I'm Shelley Johnson with my host, Tom Kirk. And today we have Marli Hall. We're talking about the Highway Angel program. Marli is the Senior Director of Outreach and Engagement with the Transportation Carriers Association. This is just a marvelous program of what drivers and honoring the drivers for heroic and courteous good deeds that they do out on the road. Marli, what kind of stories do you have? I bet you've got some real riveting stories that you could share with us.
Yes, absolutely. So we actually just recognized a few drivers. I believe it was last Friday, and we had a driving team, twin brothers, Calvin and James Williams, out of Florida. They drive for Armalini Truck Lines, and they were nominated, and we awarded them. They basically rushed to the aid of a couple whose vehicle veered off the road, went down into a steep ravine, and then crashed into a tree. Oh. And some folks may say, well, you know, I get why that may be, you know, worthy of this, but something to note is that the car was so far down into this ravine, they had to drop a pin on their smartphone in order for the EMTs to even find them.
Oh, wow.
So basically, the guys had to climb down a super treacherous, muddy hill, go down. They sat with the individuals, and I think it was a couple hours, and it was about 25 degrees outside.
Oh, geez. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Also, we got Robert Johnson. He's a professional truck driver with Fry Miller, Inc. He's out of Texas, and he was awarded for rushing to pull two men from their burning truck. So, I mean, I can't even imagine coming upon a scene like that and having to pull one person, let alone two individuals, from something burning. So, way to go to Robert. And then thirdly, we recognized also, let me triple check. Get on our microsite here. Don't want to leave them out. Oh yes. So Nick Still, he's with Hirschbach Motor Lines, and we recognized him for aiding a couple after their vehicle spun out and overturned on an icy road. So, you know, just these three stories are, you know, just ridiculously different. So the magnitude of the folks that we recognize, again, really just varies from, good deeds to heroic deeds, to life-saving deeds, if you want to call them that. So yeah, those are our main three. And you're right, back to your question about just the magnitude of heroism. I've got a team driver, William and Becky Gregory of Titan Transfer, and we recognized them a few months ago, and they're out of Shelbyville, Tennessee, and they actually came upon a really horrific scene, and they ended up rescuing and caring for a young boy following a 2-vehicle crash that killed his father. And yeah, the 2 cars had hit head on. The first vehicle was on the shoulder and the elderly driver was deceased. The other vehicle was on fire. And, they said there were several people that were using fire extinguishers, and that they happened to kind of, walk to another vehicle, noticed that this 10-year-old boy, was, needed some help. They got him out. They stayed with him and talked to him and cared for him. But yeah, it's just really unfortunate the things that these folks come upon.
Well, quite often they're the first ones at the scene because drivers are out on the roads when maybe nobody else will be.
Exactly. Yes. And, a lot of times these drivers say, God put me here. I was in the right place at the right time. Very humble. A lot of times, it's unfortunate that sometimes we receive some nominations, some really incredible stories, and some drivers just don't want to be recognized. They say, no thanks. I was just doing my job. I was just helping. I don't think what I did was very heroic. So that happens too.
Sure. And I imagine maybe sometimes that they have a new friend, the people that they've saved.
Yes. That happens, that happens quite a lot. And we really do like to hear that, because, in that moment, whenever you come upon this crash or the scene of an accident, or even say rushing to help like an elderly person who has collapsed or whatnot, the last thing you think about is getting their contact information. So it's really something that is pretty incredible that, the drivers are not only there helping and assisting, but they've also been cognizant enough to think, oh my gosh, I want to get their information because I really want to connect with them and make sure that they're okay, see how this person has progressed. It's incredible.
It certainly renews your confidence in humanity, which, like I said in our last segment, we definitely need that today. Tom, you're saying that you had a couple questions for Marli.
Marli actually has already answered one or two of them, but maybe I can get you to go a little bit more in depth into one of them, Marli. I know when you watch some of these documentaries they do about either Congressional Medal honor winners or the people who win the Victoria Cross out of England, one of the things they always say is how humble they are and how much they really just consider themselves ordinary and don't talk about it. I know you've said you find some of that. Can you maybe explain a little bit more about how much these drivers just really seem to kind of are ordinary people, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically what happens is whenever that nomination form comes in to us here at TCA, and we send it over to our Highway Angel consultant who gives the drivers a call and whatnot, again, these nominations come in from not only, say a safety director at the carrier company or from another professional truck driver who has heard of or witnessed this themselves. But, also people, in the general motoring public, they love to, let us know about these drivers and their good deeds. But a lot of times, unfortunately, we have found where the drivers are not so keen on being recognized. So they say things such as, I was just in the right place, the right time. This is where I needed to be at that moment. I don't think that I am worthy of this award. A lot of times we've had the question, do I have to pay for this? And then we laugh, but because it's like this is not a scam. This is something, wholesome and good. And we really want to recognize you for this. But unfortunately, there are about a handful or so, each year, I'd say, that say, no, thanks. I was just doing my job.
Which is just amazing. I mean, it really shows drivers can be so humble and so self-effacing in so many ways. And they're just doing it because they're human and this is just what they do. And they have kind hearts, Mm-hmm. You said you had an Epic Angels program. What is that about?
Yes. So it is kind of a spinoff of Epic View, which is our presenting sponsor of the program. And we, each year at our annual convention, it's where like 1,200 or so truckload professionals get together. So C-level suite guys, operations, safety professionals. We even have professional truck drivers that come in for our Driver of the Year contests. And with that, we also have an awards presentation where we recognize one Highway Angel recipient for the year, or say a driving team. But basically, we poll our communications and image committee, and we give them a list of 5 or so odd stories that have really kind of stood out amongst the rest for the year. And so they take those and they rate them, and then whoever is deemed the winner, we fly them out, all expense paid. This year, our annual convention is going to be in Las Vegas in September, and we actually have a driver who we've connected with. Unfortunately, I can't name him. It is a him, so I'll give you that. We're going to fly him out and, just kind of share his story with all of our attendees, award him with a crystal truck. He gets a premium package from Epic View and things such as that. So, really recognizing and elevating this driver for his heroic deed.
That's so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I don't think many organizations are always doing that. And I think it's so very important. Drivers need to be recognized for going above and beyond and for doing an outstanding job, because let's face it, the trucking lifestyle is hard. Drivers work extremely hard. And when they go above and beyond, I mean, they definitely need to be recognized. We're talking with Marli Hall. She's the Senior Director of Outreach and Engagement with the Transportation Carriers Association. And we're talking about the Highway Angel program, which is just outstanding. And definitely, if you're interested, you should definitely go to the TCA website. We'll have that information on how to contact them coming up. You're listening to the Truckers Network radio show. I'm Shelley Johnson here on TNCRadio.LIVE with my co-host Tom Kirk. Stay tuned.
TNCRadio.LIVE, your commercial driver navigation station.
This is the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.LIVE. I'm Shelley Johnson with my co-host Tom Kirk. And today we have actually Marli Hall, Senior Director of Outreach and Engagement with the Transportation Carriers Association. And she's talking about the Highway Angel program, which is just an awesome program. Tom, you said you had a couple questions for Marli.
Yeah, Marli, one of the things I really want to know is, what is a microsite? Because you've mentioned that a couple times. And how does this tie into the Highway Angel program? And if a person gets nominated, what all happens, or can somebody expect?
Sure. Yep. Great question. Sorry, microsite's kind of some internal baseball kind of slang. Basically, what a microsite is it's like a smaller version of a full-blown website. So basically where we house just all information about the Highway Angel program. So there's nothing else TCA related. There's nothing else about events. There's nothing. So it's just purely all about Highway Angels. And so you can find this microsite or website at highwayangel.com or even highwayangel.org. And with that, kind of leading into your next question there, this kind of formatted web page you'll see on there, you'll come to a home page, a little bit of information about us in the top section, as well as a nice little scrolling banner ad there. You'll see our most recent recipients. You can meet them all by clicking a button. You'll see our the Epic View logo, the Driver Facts logo, the Highway Angel video that we had mentioned, Shelley and I were talking about earlier, that features Lindsay Lawler. And then obviously we really encourage folks. So the real purpose of this website is to not only learn about the Highway Angel program, but to also nominate. So we really want to see and learn and meet about these drivers. So the process basically is there's a nominate button on this microsite, and you go there and there's a form, and you can choose from a drop down immediately. I'm a representative from the driver's company. I'm a motorist or victim who was helped by the driver. You can also say if you're the driver nominating yourself. Also, if you're a friend or family member who happens to hear about like a heroic or good deed done by a driver. So you just complete that form. So basic information, we just want to know the driver's name, company, phone number, email. How can we get in contact with this driver? And then also we go a little deeper. We want to know what was the date of the incident, the time, city, where exactly did this take place? We don't need specifics. Just a city and state or province would be fine. And then you can upload photos, you can upload police reports, anything like that. And then we just want your information. So as a nominator, if you're not the driver themselves.
I imagine you've got drivers that are pretty surprised when you contact them after they've been nominated.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Especially if they were not aware of this, and say a safety director happens to find dash cam footage from, say, a hard break or whatnot. That sometimes is how we learn about these heroic deeds, believe it or not, because something is triggered from the truck to the company, and they look into it and then see that, say, the truck is stopped, their driver is out, and say, I've seen dash cam footage many times before, but there's a motorcyclist that is down in the middle of the road and you can barely see him. You can only see like a small red light on the back of that motorcycle, and that's it. So, just again, reiterating that, Knights of the Highway, paying attention, those drivers are out there saving lives. We're just really always super eager to recognize these guys and gals.
Absolutely. Tom, did you have another question for Marli? I thought you said you had more than one. So
actually, I got a couple I've thought of here in the last little bit, especially.
Go ahead.
Marli, one of the things you mentioned is that a driver can nominate themselves. Is that something that's common, or is it usually somebody else does the nominating?
I was just talking with another individual about this, and I'm going to say about 90% of the nominations that come through are from a liaison at that carrier company. So again, someone in safety department, someone in operations, fleet manager, it's someone that has gotten wind of this story, or this happening, I should say. So yeah, about 90% of the time it's from the carrier. The other 10%, I'd say, is somewhat between like a family member and or a motorist that wanted to nominate an individual.
So kind of getting back to the thing we were talking about earlier, that the highway angels tend to be humble. It's very rare, if not almost unheard of, for a driver to nominate themselves.
We have a few. There are a few, but you are right. Going back to that humble aspect, a lot of times it is, someone nominated me. Sure, I'm happy to tell my story, but I was just doing my job. So they appease us, and they are okay with the recognition. But you're right. Very seldom do people nominate themselves.
Great. And then the other question I have, because you kind of hinted at this once or twice, that this is open to drivers from both the U.S. as well as Canada and Mexico. Mm-hmm. How often do drivers from either Canada or Mexico get nominated for this?
Off the top of my head, I'd say probably 70% or so are United States-based carriers. The other 25 odd percent are from Canada. So I'd say about a 1/3 split or whatnot. But yes, we do receive quite a few nominations from our neighbors in the Great White North.
And I apologize, my phone cut out for a split second. Do you get very many from Mexico, or is it mostly the U.S. and Canada?
Not too many from Mexico, no. I've been here at TCA for 8 years now, and I don't really recall if there has been. I'd say one or two, honestly. So if we had a goal for this program, it would be to garner more nominations from the South and say from other countries. Honestly, I mean, this is a program. I mean, there's professional truck drivers everywhere on the planet Earth. So hopefully we can really recognize more folks than what we're currently receiving.
Okay, so it's not just North America. Anyone could be nominated worldwide.
Sure, yeah, we're up for it. It's something. We receive some requests here and there and some inquiries and such, just to TCA as a whole. Folks, wanting to come over, want to be, move to the U.S., looking to get their CDL. What do I need to do? But nothing too much about any heroic deeds.
Now, you've heard about all of the deeds. Obviously, they're described so that you can decide who's going to be nominated and who you're going to choose. Mm-hmm. What are the stories you've heard from the drivers? Were they surprised at themselves? Was it just something that came naturally when they went above and beyond and put themselves in harm's way to help someone? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really kind of just is all over the board. A lot of times we hear, I was the only person to stop and I needed to do something. And a lot of times it's, we heard this a lot, pure adrenaline. Like people are sleeping in the sleeper berth and next thing they know, their significant other and or driving partner has slammed on the brakes and has stopped and they need to get out, put on some clothes, and get out and assist. So, it is, you just have to do it. That's what they've often said is, we're here and this is all this person may have, so we have to help.
Which is awesome. That people can, it's amazing when you're in that kind of situation, fight, flight, mm-hmm. boy, you just jump to action mm-hmm. without thinking, and you know what to do. And the fact that they're making the difference between life and death. And in many, many cases, people wouldn't survive if they weren't there to help. And like you were saying with the drivers that went down the ravine to help the victim in a car crash in 25 mm-hmm. degree temperatures and sat there for 2 hours. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yep. And, a lot of times, we understand that the load is important, that, timing is everything. But a lot of times these drivers, it really speaks volumes about the carriers that don't question this. If they've got to stop, they're pulled over, clock's running, they've got a couple, like say 30 minutes here and there or something where their wheels aren't moving. Mm-hmm. It's something that is not questioned and or, they're not scolded for this, which is, you don't want anything to be a deterrent whenever someone's, life is at stake, essentially. So, again, these carriers, I got to commend them as well, for sure.
Oh, it really brings out and really showcases the humanity and the generosity of human beings all the way across the
company-wide.
world.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's mm-hmm. just, it's refreshing. I think mm-hmm. I've said that more than once, but it definitely is something that is good. We're talking mm-hmm. with Marli Hall. She's Senior Director of Outreach and Engagement with the Transportation Carriers Association. We're talking about the Highway Angel program. This is the Truckers Network radio show. I'm Shelley Johnson with Tom Kirk. We're going to be covering more, especially how you can nominate a driver you think should be nominated for this. There are definitely drivers out there, and they may not come up and speak for themselves, but we need to speak for them, and they need to be recognized for their heroism. This is TNCRadio.LIVE. Stay tuned for more coming up. Every day, the roads are full of semis. Truck drivers are responsible for nearly 80% of America's freight. Being a truck driver is not an easy job, and it isn't for everyone. Trucking can be hard on a person, both physically and mentally. Suffering from mental health issues can put truck drivers in a dangerous situation. To safely operate a heavy-duty vehicle, drivers need to be physically and mentally healthy. Mental health issues are common in truck drivers. Here are the 4 common mental health issues truck drivers face. Truck driving is a demanding job. It can be very stressful at times. A stressful work environment leads to anxiety and depression. In addition to stressful work environments, truck drivers spend a lot of time alone in their truck. Constantly being alone can affect one's mental health. Although many truck drivers suffer from mental health issues, some are afraid to get help because they're afraid they're going to lose their job. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration requires drivers to be in good health before receiving or renewing a commercial driver's license. The trucking industry is predominantly male. A study by RAHM states that men are less likely to get treatment for their mental health than women. It's important for drivers to take care of their mental health as much as their physical health. Common mental health issues can include depression. Depression is an illness that affects you mentally, physically, and emotionally. It's very common in the trucking industry. Being alone and away from friends and family contributes to depression. It's important to know the difference between feeling down and having depression. If you feel you're experiencing depression, seek out help. Depression is serious and can affect your ability to operate your truck. Anxiety. Because of how stressful trucking can be, anxiety is very common for drivers. It's especially true for new drivers. Even experienced drivers have reported having anxiety and panic attacks while on the road. It's important to know the difference between new driver anxiety and generalized anxiety. If you're experiencing anxiety often while working, take the necessary steps to get help. Chronic sleep disturbances. A good night's rest is crucial to truck drivers. Not having enough sleep can make it dangerous to operate a heavy-duty vehicle. Because of a truck driver's living and work situation, good sleep can be difficult. An NCBI study reports that 20 to 28.6% of truck drivers have unspecified sleep disorders, and 27.5% of truck drivers are diagnosed with insomnia. Sleep is extremely important for your mental and physical health. If you're experiencing problems sleeping while trucking, consider seeking professional help. Loneliness. Truck drivers spend many days and weeks isolated in their truck. According to Business Insider, nearly a third of drivers say being alone is a significant issue affecting their mental health. If you're experiencing loneliness on the road, check out the blog from the Truckers Network, Mental Health Tips for Truckers.
Need a better driving job? Go to TNCRadio.LIVE/driverinfo.
You're listening to the Truckers Network radio show on TNCRadio.LIVE. I'm Shelley Johnson here with my co-host Tom Kirk, and we're talking with Marli Hall, who's Senior Director of Outreach and Engagement with the Transportation Carriers Association. We're talking about the Highway Angel program, which is absolutely captivating. I'm just super impressed that you're recognizing drivers for going above and beyond. You said you have drivers who've gotten the Highway Angel Award more than once. Mm-hmm. Could you tell us a little bit about that, Marli?
Sure. Yeah. So, not only is it great and we really enjoy recognizing just say one driver one time, but it's always a special treat whenever we have, one driver's name that keeps reappearing and keeps, coming before us. So I've got two individuals, who I'd like to kind of share their stories real quick. Bill McNamee of Carbon Express. He's been recognized twice. And the first time was for stopping to help a seriously injured girl and her family after their vehicle was involved in a fatal head-on collision. So he offered some, just some incredible support that day. And then also he was awarded a recipient for stopping to help a driver who had experienced a tire blowout on the highway. So very different circumstances, that he was, recognized for. But, just truly lucky. Those individuals were very lucky for him to be there. And also Chris Delancey. So he's with Hirschbach Motor Lines. And recently he's out of New Jersey. I believe both. Yeah, Bill and Chris are out of New Jersey. But his story was pretty wild. He was actually recognized for stopping to apprehend a reckless driver who was found to be carrying cocaine. So,
oh my goodness.
He had his hands full, it seemed, by helping, that day. And then also his second, recognition was for quickly responding to the police, for help from an unresponsive child. And we received quite a few stories, that involve children. So, whether that be, one child was once found along the side of a deserted area in a diaper, just along the side of the road with a sippy cup by themselves. So luckily the driver pulled over, was able to run up and catch the child and safely get him in his cab and waited for the police. So yeah, a lot of times we do have stories that involve children, and luckily they end well. So,
yes.
So that's always kind of the silver lining.
They end well because of the drivers. We only have a couple minutes. I know that you said that there's actually a driver who carries around a kit to deliver babies because he's had to do this many times.
Yes, that's amazing. That's right. Yep. So, I think the first time in which he, helped deliver, a baby in a Denny's, bathroom, believe it or not. And then also along the side of the road, quite a few times. So, yep, a baby delivery kit.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, there are a lot of people who can give him credit for coming into the world. So
absolutely.
That's cool. So how do people nominate a special driver? How do they get a hold of your organization?
Absolutely. So definitely check out the website, highwayangel.org, or even highwayangel.com. And on that site, you can access a nomination form. You can also view the recipients, our Epic Angels. And then also, if you've got questions for us, that's how you can find our contact information as well here at the Truckload Carriers Association. So definitely check out highwayangel.com. And also we have a Facebook page, which I encourage listeners to definitely like. Just on Facebook, just look up TCA Highway Angel. And on there, we share all these heroic and good deeds and really showcase each driver individually for their efforts.
That's so awesome. Well, I really appreciate you being with us. How long does it take to get nominated? Is this something that happens more than once a year? I would imagine. Am I correct?
Yes. So we receive nominations. It can be daily sometimes. Okay. I know 1 week we received 7 in 1 week. So, yes, any time of the day, just complete the form and it'll come through to us, and then you'll be hearing from us within a few days.
Well, I want to thank you, you and your organization, for doing this, because
TNCRadio.LIVE, your commercial driver navigation station.
Hi, this is Tom Kelly, managing partner of Emsico, LLC, doing business as TNCRadio.LIVE. The website TNCRadio.LIVE and any content or podcast related to the website are copyrights of Emsico, LLC, copyright 2021. All rights reserved. Any redistribution or reproduction of all or any part of the contents in any form is prohibited other than the following. We welcome you to download and play the publicly available podcast and share with others for personal use. Please acknowledge TNCRadio.LIVE as the source of the material. You may not, except with our express written permission, distribute or commercially exploit the content. And while we endeavor to keep the information up to date and correct, we make no representations or warranties of any kind expressed or implied about the completeness, accuracy, reliability, suitability, or availability with respect to the website, the podcast, or the information, products, services, or related graphics contained on the website or podcast for any purpose. Any reliance you place on such information is therefore strictly at your own risk. For additional information, including details regarding monetization of this podcast, send email to podcasts@tncradio.live.